milestones that will be coming up in the upcoming season. A new promoter possibly for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And Hailie Deegan, who slipped with the mouth and is being addressed by NASCAR when we come back.
Inravio.com.
Hey Chuck, hey Joe, it's Christine, your old producer. Just wanted to say
Welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well and surviving all the nonsense.
Moving along on the new year here.
Absolutely. Hailie Deegan, she will be driving this year in the Camping World Truck Series for David Gilliland Racing. Hailie Deegan has been ordered by NASCAR to take sensitivity training over her using an inappropriate slur during a race broadcast simulation on Twitch. Deegan apologized via Twitter for her words, but the 19-year-old, as I said earlier, she's set for her first season, full-time season in the Truck Series. And she's come out of the Arca Menard Series West series and a 3-time winner.
Was it a racial thing or a sexual thing?
It was a racial thing. It was, she used an inappropriate word. It wasn't even a racial thing. It was just, she used a word that you shouldn't really be saying about people who have mental disabilities. She referred to a driver as a...
Oh.
Yeah.
But he's not.
He's not.
Well, he could be.
And that's a word that you're not supposed to say anymore, It's...
The R word?
Yes. Now...
Does that go with the N and the M and the O word too?
Yes, it does.
Oh, boy.
And yeah.
Pretty soon we're not going to be able to talk.
No,
you can't text either then.
Can't text either. And it's, when you look at it, other drivers who are playing these simulated race games, like Kyle Larson, Kyle Larson was kind of thrown out because he used the N word. And, he took all the training and the counseling and all of that kind of good stuff. And, okay, he'll be back this year. But I really do think it's getting out of control with this stuff. Like you said, you can't talk.
Well, we were just talking about it funny at the break. And it's interesting that this comes up because, and you're a Saturday night guy, I get all of that. And, we were just talking about at the break how race car drivers and even some teams, not even at the local level, but even up levels, don't understand the business of racing.
They don't.
It's not getting behind the wheel and going left and left and left and fast and left and then hitting the brake and fast. And that's not what it's all about. That's what it's mostly about.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you can't get to that point unless you do all the other things ahead of that game, the business of racing.
Right.
Getting the sponsors, getting exposure for your team, for your sponsors. Mm-hmm. Like we give out the free interviews here on the show so that drivers, and they're free, and you're getting exposure. It's something for your driver, for your race team. Something to put up on your website.
Something to share with your sponsors.
Yeah, we're not sitting on this corner of my bed here doing a show, so it's not like
As some of our competitors do.
I didn't want to say that, but it's we've been doing this for a minute and a half, and maybe 2 minutes, because it's going on 19 years. You know what I mean? So we kind of got this down a little bit. So you would think that they would take advantage of that, but even beyond that, it's amazing to see some of the things, and then they complain they don't have the money to be able to do what they want to do, and how many people want to go modified racing, but they don't have the dough, and do they really want to have the struggle? Is that part of the racing thing? That you got to have the struggle to pay the bills, and then do you pay your mortgage, or do you buy a motor because you blew the motor in the car? I mean, where do you go with that? It's just, and it boggles my mind that it's not, all right, a guy who just got an enduro car and he's looking to put Joe's Pizza on the side of it and he doesn't understand. Right. These are some other divisions that by this point you should get the idea of what you're doing with the business.
Without a doubt. It's funny, back in the day when I was heavily involved with finding sponsors for race teams. And I charged a small, and I say small amount, to prepare their portfolio. And some guys would say, no, I got one. So I'd get it, and I'd open it up, and I'd read their 40-page thing that's mostly pictures. And I'd look at it, and it starts out good. Hi, my racing, blah, blah, blah. I like to introduce myself. I race at such and such a track. I race on Saturday nights, and blah, blah, blah. And I would like to put your name on my car so that I could buy beer for my crew at the end of the night.
Really? You had one that said that?
And I looked at it, and I says, you don't say that. He goes, yeah, but I want it to be honest. No. It's not what their money is going to buy you. It's what are you going to do for them? And there was one guy, and it was probably going to be his biggest payday as a sponsor and my biggest payday as a representative. And it was with a top fast food restaurant. And we sat down. We had a couple of presentations. The track PR person came in and talked to the individual. We had multiple meetings around their board room, with their regional or district manager meetings. And they were in. So we go to the guy's office. The check's right here in an envelope for the full boatload of money this kid asked for. Sitting there, boom. It's signed, sealed, and like inches from delivered. And the guy's going over now, with the agreement that they wrote up for us to sign, and he said, we would like the car colors to be our colors, and we would like the logo to appear not only on the hood, but on the rear panel as well, and blah, 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 blah. So the driver leans forward, he goes, can I ask you a question? He goes, sure. My cars have always been red and white since I first raced. Can I still make my car red and white and maybe just get half the money? The guy, without even blinking an eye, he went, yeah, you can make it red and white, but this is going in the garbage. And he ripped up the envelope and the check and threw it in the garbage. And then he opened his drawer, got a folder out, started reading. I'm sitting there and he goes, I'm done with you. Done. This was going to afford this late model team.
He was probably so upset that he didn't know what to say.
Yeah. This late model team asked, the cost when you break it down was 4 tires every week, and it was like a 16-week season. 2 barrels of fuel. Boom. Licenses paid for him, his wife, and 4 of his crew members in that proposal. And cash every week that they could take out to buy food for the crew. You're talking, it was a 5-digit sponsorship. From that day forward, I never brought a driver with me to a meeting. Because they don't understand.
They don't understand. And I appreciate what you had there as far as money goes. When I figure out a package, and the typical way that a team figures out a package is this, okay? First off, you're going to take all your expenses, whether it's tires, whether it's shocks, whether it's the car and everything else. You're going to add all of that up. If you have a shop and you've got overhead and you've got your lights and your cable vision and your internet and your phone and everything else that's going on, your alarm system, as I did in my shop, you add that all up. And whatever that number is, if that number comes out to, say, $60,000, and you take a 30%, because it's a business. So you're going to add on 30% profit above what it costs you to race. That's the way this is done. So when I go to a sponsor, if it's WBAB or WRCN or HB107, which I had them all, The number was around $75,000. And it paid all my expenses and gave me an extra percentage. Because if you hit the wall, you blow a motor, that's not figured into. I got this much for, I got 4 tires for this week and food for the crew and blah, blah, blah. And now you go out and you get a guy who's going to give you more money based on what his package is. And you're never going to start off, your sponsor package with, this is who I am, this is what we do, and I need money for tires. You're going to start off with, this is a great marketing opportunity for a progressive company that's looking forward, looking ahead into the future, that wants to create and wants to make. It's all about them. They don't care about you. Honestly, they don't care how many races you won. They don't care if there's a trophy, a picture of you with the trophy. It doesn't matter. I mean, I didn't win 1,000 races. I won 1 race and a handful of heat races. Yeah. But I got big sponsors because nobody ever asked me how many races I won. When I went to talk to sponsors, there was never, they didn't even ask me, how do you do? How are you doing? The only thing I showed them was, this is the picture of the car, to show what kind of a product we're giving them. Yep. Because they don't know it's a race car, they could care less.
Right.
This is the product, this is what you're getting, this is who's seeing it, this is what we're doing. And if you're telling them I'm using the money to buy beer, they're like, I don't want to be associated with a crew that's drunk. Yep. That's the first thing.
No.
You know, it's all about presentation, how you're presenting yourself, to the presentation, how you're presenting yourself to them. Exactly. I'll tell you a quick story, even beyond race cars. With the music store, boogie boards became popular back in the 80s or whatever the hell it was, right? So I had one of my guys who was a greenhorn, and I was trying to get him pumped up, get him a little amped. I said, Mike, this is Murray Boogie Board Company. This is their information. This is their marketing guy. They're interested in hearing a proposal. Put something together. I worked with him on the letter. We drafted it. He sent it out to Murray Boogie Boards. We were asking for 100 boogie boards, which was some ungodly amount of money because they were like $100 a piece. So it was like $10,000 worth of boogie boards. And our plan was to, because we had a rock band at the time, we were going to give them away at clubs and stuff out in the Hamptons and so forth and so on, right? They sent back a letter, and I asked Mike, I said, so what's the story? What's going on? This is before emails, okay? This is how long ago this is. Oh, I never heard from them. I guess they're not interested. Blew me off. Now, fast forward 5 years or whatever, 10 years, Mike doesn't work for me anymore. I'm cleaning out his desk. I pull out a letter from Murray Boogie Boards. No. It was like a week later. They were willing to do the sponsorship. It's just that they said that, it sounds great. It's just that their target audience is not the age group that would be in clubs and bars, but more the age group that would be in schools. So if we decide to do anything that targets school-age children, they would be more than happy to give us 100 boogie boards. So all we had to do was change what we were thinking a little bit, whether it's the color of your car or what your promotion might be, to gain $10,000 worth of boogie boards that I could have silk screened my name on and look like a hero giving them away to whoever. And kids were fine because they're coming in for lessons anyway.
Exactly.
So you have to be open-minded. You have to look at these possibilities and these chances, these opportunities that are out there, but you can't look at them as a race car driver. And you know what? If I gave a free class, how many race car drivers you think I'd have if we had a free class? We could hold 60 people here. How many chairs you think I'd have to put out?
We got 2.
And that would be it, you and me. Yeah. Then nobody else would come because they don't want to get better.
No.
They don't seem to want to get better.
No, they don't. Anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to segue into this in regards to a possible new promoter on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour when we come back.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hey, what's I said was gonna say what's up for some reason. Hey, we're Set It Up, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
And we are back. So just a quick thing, Village Music Shop, if you want to be safe and you want to have fun, play music. So you can contact Village Music Shop right there. The link is going to be in the chat room there. You can go to their Facebook page. They're doing Zoom lessons, and they have classes on all instruments in Zoom. Plus they're also doing recording technology and DJ, the art of DJing. So those classes are filling up pretty quick. Some of the heavy hitters that they got that are teaching those classes are really good. So you know, you're going to learn a lot if you decide that you want to do any kind of recording or something. That's the class to be in. And the art of DJing, that's always fun.
Yes.
Make your own music type of stuff, you know.
So, you know, we were talking about in the first segment about sponsorships and how to care for a sponsor. Well, promoters in racing are no different. They have a product they want to promote, a race, even whether it's a concert or, you know, a show. But when you look at race promoters, you wonder why and how they do it. And the why obviously is to make money, and that's something that racers don't understand either. They think, you know, the promoters should give them everything, and you know,
it's tough. That's the whole racing business is tough.
Well, JDV Promotions, led by Josh Venata, will return to grassroots short track racing to promote 3 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour events in 2020. JDV will promote in Pennsylvania, New York, and Maine at Jennerstown Speedway, Oswego Speedway, and Beech Ridge Speedway. All 3 events will be $10,000 to win, which, other than the New Hampshire purse for the Modified Tour, is the biggest win payout total the series has seen.
So he's going to be an independent promoter using other racetracks.
Exactly. Venanda is the former general manager at the Thompson Motorsports Park. He knows the business. He knows modified racing, and some of these tracks that have difficulties, I'll say, we'll call it, getting a race because they feel they don't have the money, they're afraid to do it, whatever the case may be. It's not cheap to promote a NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour race. It's through NASCAR, you know, of course.
Well,
NASCAR goes to you.
If you do, you could not promote it. It's up to you on how you do it. But here's the thing that I'm going to find interesting, and I'm going to be watching, and I'm sure this guy knows what he's doing. He wouldn't be doing this, putting his money out there. But ultimately, that's where management comes in.
Exactly.
You know, you're taking the exact same racetrack, the same exact pool of people, and you're doing the same exact race that everybody else failed at.
Right.
Let's see how you succeed. That's the only difference there, the only variable there in that whole thing is management.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between race car drivers that have tons of money and do well, because they have the money, you know, it takes money to win, you know that, I don't have to tell you.
Yep.
You know, and ones that don't have the money and don't win. Or don't do as well as they could.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you don't have the money and you're winning and you're doing pretty well, man, if you had money, could you imagine?
Can you imagine?
There's no stopping you.
And using the money properly.
Correct.
That's a
Correct.
big thing.
You know, I don't like to say this, but it's almost the thing that you almost have to focus on. Before you say to yourself, I'm going to pay a crew chief because he's going to make my car really good, it's almost to the point where you need to pay a marketing and sales guy, you know, really is, you know, because ultimately you can't get to point A if, you know, you don't, you know, you got to get to point A before you get to point B.
Exactly.
You know, it's,
And I know in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, there are teams that are here in spending, teams that are here, and teams that are here. And without giving out any names, there was one team while I had my tenure on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Series, and this team, their crew chief was given, in round numbers, $1,000 a week. Not just race weeks. That was from the first week in January to the last week in December.
Whether he was on or off.
On or off. Mostly on, because if he wasn't at a race, he was at a shop building cars, whatever. There was another team that most of the races were in New England. Half the races were in Connecticut. And what that team owner did is he moved his shop to Connecticut and purchased an apartment for this crew chief, so he had a place to live near the shop.
And make it easier.
Which
was also part of the deal, because if he had to spend the time and the effort and the money going back and forth, those are all good things that make sense. And when you want to take what you're doing to the next level, those are all good things that make really good sense.
To do that, you're talking if you're giving in round numbers $1,000 a week to a crew chief, that's $52,000 a year. Now, yes, 15 to 20 weekends are shot during prime time summer, but there are crew chiefs that are doing this stuff for free because their crew or their team or whatever does not have the money to pay them. Some buy NASCAR licenses and pay their way in. Some buy food, some buy this, some, whatever. But
some do it for just the giggles, and sometimes they're not the best, or sometimes they are.
Right.
But when you want to take it to the next level, there's always that hump, I'm telling you, when you want to take it from just a bunch of guys volunteering to do a volunteer job, and you get what you get. Can you yell at them? You can do anything you want. You probably won't see them again. But, when you've got a volunteer crew, you got to treat them a little bit differently than if you're paying them. And then depending on how much you're paying, depends on how much, grief they're going to take.
Right.
So it's a tough thing. That hump, I say it's not even a hump. That's a mountain.
Right.
I've been there. I've done that several times.
Yeah.
Several times in several different businesses. That's a big mountain.
Yeah.
And without the money behind you, which is why I say you need somebody who's making the sales, making the connections, doing the marketing, and not only doing the marketing, but when they're at the track, they're not changing a tire. They got some sponsor, either potential or somebody who's a current sponsor, and they're setting them up for next year.
Right. Yeah.
Because you got to keep it going. You just can't have one and that's one and done.
I always wondered, and I've officiated in my lifetime over 6,000 events. I don't know how many racetracks I've been to in my lifetime, but you go to the same places, and you see Gagos Paisano. This year he's sponsored by Tony's Pizza. The next year he's sponsored by Mama's Sports Bar. It's like they never have a continuance of sponsors that stay on long term. And I go up to these guys. Hey, what happened to such and such? I didn't want to do it no more. It's maybe because you didn't show them a return.
And the question is, what were you doing for them? What were you getting from them? Were you getting coupons for your crew to go in there on Friday night? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before the races, what were you getting? What were you doing?
Exactly.
If you don't go in as a professional and you don't go in there and give them a bang for the buck,
right?
It's you're not going to get. Now, that be said, there was I won't even say, but there was a sponsor that I did not want to come back because they aggravated my crew so much. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
So I made sure I got another sponsor to replace them, and it was a shame because it was a good number.
Yeah.
But the aggravation, the weekly aggravation, was more than it was worth.
Yeah.
And even when I tried to talk to them, and tell them what the story was, I'll tell you, it was a radio station. But even when I talked to them, the DJs, and told them what the story was and whatnot, they didn't get it. And the next week would come, and they would even, pound us even harder and just aggravate the crew. And it wasn't really worth it after that. It was one of those things where they didn't appreciate the trials and tribulations we went through and the things that we had to overcome that we were happy about, and they made fun of us. That.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
And which I get it at the same token is, but at some point it winds up being detrimental to the whole team. So I had no choice.
I had a sponsor, and it was a very lucrative one. I mean, very lucrative. And when we sat down to sign off on the agreement, there was a couple of things that they demanded, they insisted upon, and one was appearance. And they told me basically my crew had to have black pants and gray shirts with anything that was on the shirt had to also be in black. They didn't want this fancy multicolored, 18 color t-shirt that looks like a picture. They wanted simple, done, boom. The other thing that was like,
is that sorry to interrupt, but is that because they had something happen with somebody else?
No, that's what they wanted. It's just what they wanted. It looked neat to them.
Looked neat to them, okay.
In addition to that, of course, between practice, heat races, and the rare times that car was in a consolation race, your shirt gets dirty. See, the black, the dirt, the grease don't show, but your shirt gets dirty. For the feature, those guys had to change their shirts.
Now, this is an appearance?
Yeah,
or
this is for appearance. This is race night.
Is it race night they wanted? This is the uniform.
Change your shirt, it's dirty. Boop, get it off. The other thing was no alcoholic beverages whatsoever. None. Not even like the races are over, they're done, everybody's celebrating. Nope. No alcoholic beverages. And not one member of our crew could go, as happens, running down to the other guy, the other driver, screaming and yelling.
Well, because of a reflection of their company.
Exactly.
Now, did you get the number before they told you that? Or was that, after?
It was discussed.
It was discussed.
But it became, in the agreement, this is what you have to do. Which was fine.
So you kind of knew it was coming?
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise.
Okay.
And the same thing with
now, was that
appearances.
before you gave them the number? Because I would have added in the uniforms.
They paid for them.
Well, absolutely, they would have.
They did.
Absolutely,
they paid for them.
would have had to pay.
I went into my pocket for zero with this sponsor.
Yeah, you would have had to pay.
Appearances on Sunday, but it was. I'm telling you, there were modified tour teams that would have been happy to have this sponsor.
Well, if it's lucrative, then that's a choice you have to make to go there.
Yeah, and there was a picture in the local paper of this driver, female, with her fire. You know how some guys, they open their fire suit? Some of them tied around their waist, which I never understood.
No, you can't do that.
But it was open, I'm going to say, to here. Underneath that was the fire retardant turtleneck underwear. I got grief for that picture. Grief. The fire suit, zip it up. The logo wasn't anywhere that was black.
It just didn't look neat.
Didn't look neat. So, I had that sponsor for 5 years, and I'll tell you what, the only thing that changed it was a different board, a different liaison guy. It was a done deal. But that's what sponsors want.
That's what you have to do, and sometimes they're very demanding like that.
Yeah, and when you talk about,
you never see them. Sometimes they don't even know. Sometimes they don't even want to know what you did. They don't even care what you did.
They don't even care.
No.
As long as I got a return.
That's it.
And when you look at a company like JDV promoting, they're going in, and in essence, from what I understand, is they're going to lease the track for that event. Everything, I don't know what the money is and what they pay. I'm sure the facility gets a big portion of ticket sales and revenues, whatnot. But they're going to go into these places, and they're the promoter that day. It was like, you take a Barbara and Jim Cromedy who owned Riverhead Raceway, they were also the promoters. It would be like they could stay home that day if they wanted to, because this guy's coming in. And I'll tell you what, it's a bold move, because when you've done this, and this is a newcomer, it's not like they've been around for 50 years, the total purse that's going to be paid has to be in the NASCAR bank 48 hours.
This guy's a newcomer.
Yeah, he's a newcomer. So NASCAR's going to want that money. That rent
But he promoted another track.
He was the general manager at the
general
Thompson
manager.
Motorsports Park.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay,
Yes.
I understood that.
He
that
knows the
promoted.
business, but
He knows the business, but he hasn't really promoted. He's a general manager.
you know, some
so
side stuff, but no big stuff. Now,
that scares me right there.
when you do this, you get a rain out, you get rain forecasted, and you still got to run. You're expecting maybe 40 cars to come with 10 guys average on the crew. You're looking at, you know, your money, you're bringing it in there, but what if you don't get 40 cars? What if only 6 guys from each crew comes in?
Everything is up in the air.
Exactly.
When you do that, everything is up in the air. Now, I'm not on that level, don't get me wrong.
No.
But I promoted a race. We promoted actually about a half a dozen races. We promoted a half a dozen races at Pocono. We didn't do the tri-oval, we did the road course, and I promoted races there. And it's interesting how you have to interact with everybody. So the race sanctioning body was more than happy to let us go ahead and do that.
Yes.
And so we brought some people in, but here's the story. Our hands were tied because even though that there was insurance and everything was taken care of, everybody had to come into the pits. They couldn't sit in the stands.
Right.
So everything had to happen in the pits, which in Pocono was fine because it's huge and it's a road course,
Yep.
and they could stand just about anywhere.
Anywhere they want.
On any barrier, basically, and watch, right? So, but because of the owner, Doc Mattioli of Pocono, we were not allowed to advertise the fact that the race was happening. So how do you get people to come in if you can't advertise? And again, this is before the internet.
Yep.
So you couldn't even like skate it around there. So the only thing he would allow would be roadside signs the day of the event.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, one of my people were with me, and they were at the gate, you know, collecting the tickets as people were coming in. They were charging people to come and watch the race. And, you know, they got the little ticket booth there, and the ticket booth's wide open. Anyway, there was a folding chair there. They got yelled at. She got yelled at because she was sitting in a folding chair. She goes, "Is that your folding chair?" Doc Mattioli came along. "Is that your folding chair?" "No, it was in the booth. That's my folding chair. Put that back in the booth. Don't sit there."
Yeah, see?
And that's the kind of people you have to deal with sometimes. Now, Pocono, this is Pocono. This is the guy that owns Pocono. And you know what? He's just that kind of guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's just that, he is just that kind of, he's the kind of guy that he got real upset because when he told the township that Pocono is in, right, that this is what he wants to do, he's used to getting anything he wants. The state troopers are there directing traffic on race Sunday, right? Well, when he didn't get every little thing that he wanted, he said, "You know what?" He called up his lawyer, found out he owns enough property with Pocono and all the surrounding spots that he can start his own township and pay his own money to himself because they wouldn't let him build condos. And he built the condos himself, and now he pays his own tax revenue to himself because he owns his own town.
Unbelievable. See? Oh, well.
That's the kind of people you deal with sometimes.
That's what Daytona did.
Sometimes they're very, very, very eccentric.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there was a drag strip here on Long Island, and you know I was involved in that drag strip here on Long Island as well, and she was very eccentric.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And just to jump back real quick, if you're paying a crew chief $1,000 a week, because it is drag strip, if you pay your crew chief $1,000 a week and you do not have a corporation and you're not paying them on the books and all the rest of that stuff, or sending them a 1099 or any of that, you better look into that because that's a lot of money to let go without keeping track of.
I don't think there's a team on the modified tour that is not at least LLC or
something.
S Corp or C Corp.
S Corp or something.
Yeah.
You
Anyway,
gotta be.
we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some milestones that we'll be looking at in 2021 when we come back.
Hey guys, this is Jibs from Ocean's 8 Alaska, and you're watching Inravio TV Network.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hi, I'm Remington. I'm Emerson.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're Palais Royale, and you're watching Inravio TV.
There we go.
Hey, this is Chris Les Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Hi, this is Mike Jarecki from My Race News, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hey, somebody in the chat room was saying you carried a jack handle down there. Hey, all of us got to a point where we had some sort of you're in a bull ring on a Saturday night. Things are going to happen. That's when you need your marketing guy to jump on your back and stop you from doing something stupid.
This is one of those things like you see something. So you see a guy walking through the pits with a jack handle on his shoulder after a race. Now, you're thinking that he's going to go hit somebody in the head with it, maybe put somebody in a chokehold, choke him out. No, I want to explain what I had to do because I don't want people to think that, I violated my contract with that sponsor. Nor I don't want people to think I'm a wacko.
Get the violin. We got the violin over there.
There's a guy, there's a box of them. There was a guy that, who wrecked my car, my driver's car. I guess it's my car that a person was driving. And, in the process of them wrecking them, their rear quarter pounder was rubbing on a tire, really bad.
So you're doing a friendly thing.
So I figured if I went down with a jack handle, if you put it in the right spot and they roll forward, the jack handle will go and
create a nice flare.
Makes clearance so that the person that it was, after wrecking my car, went on to win the event. I was just trying to help him, trying to do the sportsman thing.
Yeah. And that's what it says in the manual.
And that's what I told the sponsor on Sunday.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's very few and far between that it ever happens the other way. We just happened to get wrecked really good. It was a July race. I always do well in the July races, but I got wrecked really well. Yeah, I don't know why. I got wrecked really well in the July race, and it so happened that I got spun out because of a week before we had an altercation. Mm-hmm. So we had an altercation. I came in off the track, and honestly, I really don't know what I did, but this guy had a lot of people on his crew, and my car was covered in his crew members when I came off the track. Yeah. And everybody was yelling at me. And I remember you being the official, you surrounded my pits because I started walking down the pits and I looked behind me and it's like 25 people. I was the nice guy, I never really got into fights.
No.
But I knew a lot of people and I helped a lot of people. So as I'm starting walking down the pit, trying to just clear my head, I got 25 people behind me. They all got my back. They're ready to fight for me. And I'm like, okay, so this is not too good,
And you were still outnumbered like 4-1.
And I was still outnumbered because this guy had like 100 people, literally on his crew. And they had like a family, so it was like 6 of them. And they all had 100 people in their crews. So I'm surrounded, my whole pit is surrounded by all the officials and stuff, and they're waiting we'll meet you at the expressway, that whole gag, right? And I'm like, oh, great, here I am, I got 4 people on my crew, and 2 of them are, the wives, So So anyway, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You know, but the next week, it just so happens that this guy figured, oh, he's going to retaliate. So the last lap, the last turn, he couldn't get around me the whole race. I'm leading the whole race. He spins me, takes me out. Of course, he gets black flag. He doesn't win, right? But now my sponsor is coming. Another radio station, of course, you know. I'll tell you what it was, BAB. So WBAB is coming with the van, the whole thing. They're there. They're waiting for me to get out the race so I can let them in. And you know, they had this spot right next to us. They were going to pull up with the van, the whole thing. So I'll tell you who it was, too. It's kind of funny. JP. He won't remember. Call him on the radio tomorrow. So JP was the van driver at the time. He says, how'd you do tonight? He goes, car looks pretty beat up. How'd you do tonight? I says, well, we got spun out the last lap, the last turn. I was leading the race the whole time. He gets up on the top of the van, right, after everybody comes in and he's playing music and he's throwing away T-shirts and the whole thing. Is, hey, did you see the end of that Charger race? Was that guy a dick or what?
Stir in the pot.
But yeah, it was, you know, that's very few and far between the sponsors.
Yeah.
But he wasn't the guy writing the check. He's the van driver.
He's the van driver.
He's like he was a volunteer at the time.
There you go.
That's what the van drivers were. They were volunteers. So.
Anyway, so milestones. There'll be some milestones, potential milestones in 2021 in the top series, the Cup Series in NASCAR. Kevin Harvick is 13 starts away from 1,200 National Series starts, and he has made 675 consecutive starts in the Cup races. Ryan Newman is 11 starts away from becoming the 19th driver in NASCAR history to make at least 700 starts in any series. Kyle Busch, two-time champion, is 30 starts away from 600 starts. Two drivers are just shy of 60 wins, Kevin Harvick with 58 wins and Kyle Busch with 57. The drivers ranked 9th and 10th on the all-time Cup win list, which is very impressive. Joe Gibbs Racing has 185 Cup wins as a team owner, with a roster that includes Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Christopher Bell. And also, another milestone that we're going to hit in 2021, sometime in March, will be our 450th show.
And this is who I knew what you were talking about. You don't talk about that NASCAR crap.
Show 450.
When you said milestones, I was thinking us. It's all about
show
me.
450. It's going to be a
My
big
name
one.
should be Lou. It's all about me.
It's all about you. You know? So show 450 will be this year. We'll planning a gala event for that show. Hopefully we make it to 500.
19 years, right?
No.
19 years of
Inravio.
Inravio.
Yeah.
Inravio TV.
And I've been this going 9 years. So 450 shows coming up. I remember how big we made it when we made 250. Remember? We had a nice cake and everything. We had a bunch of people in the other studio.
You're not getting a cake this year.
No, it's
No
not in the
cake.
budget. Not in the budget.
Not in the budget.
Not in the budget. But it'll be a
Not
gala
in the
event.
budget.
It's going to bring your own. You know, bring your own, like.
No, bring for everybody.
Yeah.
Bring your own.
I eat anything but sushi. So, you know, no, we'll talk about it.
And if you got any bottles that say Jack Daniels on them, bring them down.
Yeah,
whatever you got,
Jameson.
bring them down.
You know, whatever.
It's good to have.
Speaking of NASCAR, another successful next-gen test was held at Charlotte last week. NASCAR officials were pleased with the outcome of the brief test. Last Tuesday, Kurt Busch drove the prototype in the 1.5-mile truck. The model is set to debut in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2022. So that'll be really.
It's a nice looking car.
It is a nice looking car.
You know, it's tough because you got to have another car follow behind it with the extension cord to plug it in. I'm just kidding.
You know,
no, it is a nice car.
I look at this when I go to a shopping center and I see, like, you know, a handful of spots for the electric cars to plug in. You know, it's supposed to save, you know, energy and all that kind of good stuff. How are they producing the energy? Not with turbines. They're plugging it in. What are they saving?
It's just a cheaper way,
It's
apparently.
a cheaper way, I guess. Anyway, hey, there's a new TV show.
But you got
coming
the
up.
good energy.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost you nothing. It's pedals.
Yeah, there you go. Walk.
Walk.
A new show coming out. They debut February 15th on Netflix, The Crew,
I know, I saw.
starring Kevin James. And not that we're big into
I hope he
promoting
does.
TV
I hope he
shows,
does good with that.
But it's
But he's a Long Island guy. I mean,
Long
you
Island
know.
guy, Stony Brook.
Yeah.
And the show is going to be about not a winning team, a team that's a bunch of misfits. It's a comedy.
See, now I was going to do a reality show about some of the guys over there at the local track.
Yeah.
You know, and that would have been the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of misfits.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
But that would be funny.
Yeah. Oh, it would have been hilarious. And you know, it's funny. And you know, some of the locals here on Long Island know of my situation with our local racetrack, that I've been asked to go bowling on Saturday nights for the rest of my life.
That's for this week. Next week will be a
It's
different
still.
story.
So, one of the principals.
How many lifetime bans? You got like
That'll be my third.
Like 9 lives.
So, one of the principals was at a restaurant. He goes out to eat frequently with you know, people, and a fight broke out in the bar. So somebody said, "Oh, I wasn't." And he goes, "Oh, there was a big fight in the bar." So I tried to make humor out of just about every situation, and it was on social media. I wrote, "I wasn't there. I swear I was home watching TV," because it seems like whenever something happens, I end up in the middle of it, even when I'm not. So you know, I have no hard feelings with.
Well, I get it. You know, the emotions run high. So something about sitting in those metal/wood bleachers.
Yes.
That emotions seem to run high.
Yeah.
I knew that when I first started racing, and I couldn't afford. This is a funny story too. Charlene's apparently getting a kick out of this. When I first started racing, I bought the car. It came with 7-inch tires because that's what they raced on the year before.
I remember.
But they blacktopped the racetrack. So now they decided, all right, Charger Division's going to have 8-inch tires.
Yeah.
So I go out for the race. I got the 7-inch tires on because that's all I can afford. I didn't even have new ones. They were the old ones from the year before. Guys like, you can't go out there with these.
Right.
So I scraped together money between myself and my girlfriend at the time, Bonnie. Scraped together money so I could buy a set of rims and a set of tires. I go out there for the heat race. I get a flat tire.
So you got nothing left.
I got nothing left. I go out there for the heat race. I get a flat tire. I come back, and I might have been the Consi, but I was doing good. I didn't know my cousin was in the stands. I come off the track. Dennis from Oval Speed comes running over. Bonnie's got a tire in one hand. She spent her weekly pay. She's got a tire in one hand and a rim in the other. She's trying to get them put together so she can put it on the car. And Dennis is like, "Give me a spare." She's like, "We don't have any spares." Yeah. He's like, "Okay." He puts the air gun down. I had the air gun, of course, with the tank. I had to have that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So he puts the air gun down and walks away. And my cousin calls me up. I didn't know. I haven't talked to him in like 25 years. He's like, "I was in the stands and saw you. How come you didn't come back?" I said, "I have another tire."
Yeah.
He said, "All you had was a flat. You couldn't put something on there." I had nothing.
Yeah, it's funny when you talk about that stuff. You know, here I am, I'm racing, you know, the local track, and I get a flat. I pull in, and I had my tires laid down where I had the front tires at the back of the trailer and the rear spare tires maybe another 15 feet out. So I pull in, you can't see anything, and I feel the jacking up, and I'm like, drinking the water, whatever. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I hear the tire come off, and all I hear is banging. So a guy goes in the window. The rim don't fit. What are you talking about? That's the tire. Don't fit.
Because they got the wrong tire.
Well, my front clip was Camaro.
5 wide. So it was 5 by 5.
My rear was a Ford 9-inch.
And they didn't match.
So I had different wheels, and that's why I laid them out that way. But the guy coming to help me,
didn't know that.
He didn't know that.
That's why I make them the same all the time.
Yeah, that was season 1, for me at that track, and I didn't make that mistake ever again.
I thought you were going to tell me to put the left side on the right side. That would have been interesting as well.
Then there was a guy at the track, a wheel fixer-upper guy. Like when you bent your rims, you gave it to him.
I know.
So joking around.
I gave him a lot of business.
I asked him, I said, "Can you drill my plates so it's Ford and Chevy?" Yeah. Final week comes back, hands me my rims, and come to think, he didn't even charge me. And now if it didn't go on one way, you just pulled it and turned it a little bit more and went right on.
That's funny.
The good old days. The good old days. Anyway.
And then you went down the track like this. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Like Fred Flintstone?
Oh, man. Yeah.
With the square,
what did he call it? His Fire Rock tires or whatever? Hey, anyway, with 27 days until the start of the 2021 NASCAR opener at the Daytona International Speedway, 44 teams have registered. They're starting 40.
Did you get your team in?
No, I think I'm banned from there too.
Is VJ going?
Yeah, he's going with the ARCA car.
Yeah.
4 teams will go home. Now, considering the 36 teams that have charters are automatically in, 8 teams are vying for the
4
spots. So they either got to get in on time or they got to race their way in the duels on Thursday. So that hasn't happened in quite some time. That they're going to send teams home. Now, as we get closer, I'm going to guess at the teams that aren't going to make it as we get a little closer. And I'm sure some teams are going to back out, whatever. But you know, there's no more that starting park stuff that they did when they were.
Right.
There was a lot of starting parks. And
good money in that, too.
Yeah, and for those who don't know what that means is you're automatically in because the field wasn't filled. And they take a car that, as long as it went through tech and passed all the regulations.
Do 10 laps and park.
They take the green, some not even 10. Some just go out there until they're getting lapped, or some just. I know Teddy Christopher was in a cup race in New Hampshire, the late Teddy Christopher, and he was a starting park, and he took the green, did a couple of laps, and pulled in, and his reason out was vibration.
Motor vibration.
Yeah, vibration. But,
and you take your $2,500 or whatever it is to go.
I can remember. It's no secret that the figure 8 division on Long Island gets paid very well. It's the second highest paid division here on Long Island. And when my daughter was driving for me in the figure 8, I told her, just start last every week. When it starts getting close at the intersection, pull out. Go to the payoff window, I get my $1.50, $1.75.
Isn't that the turtle? He would do like 1 lap and pull
He'd do
over.
1 lap, and he'd take the green, go 1 and 2, and go on the backstretch. Okay, I made my $1.50.
Putt, and stop.
Yeah, but we made money for you.
Sometimes it's a smart thing. I'll tell you what, I got to tell you, the last year I raced, I had a blast. Just because.
Yeah, I had a blast too, my last race. Into the wall.
Yeah, no, I don't mean that. No, I had a blast because the payoff money wasn't a lot.
Right.
But what we would do is, if I finished pretty good, I would take the payoff money. I would take the wife out to dinner on Sunday.
Right.
So if I made more than $40,
right,
we'd go to a nice place. If we didn't make $40, we'd go to a place, But it paid for the dinner.
Right.
So it was nice,
right.
So.
Yeah.
Besides, I needed her to set my sway bar. So, she didn't set my sway bar.
And she threw all the numbers. I remember
between day and night time.
Yeah.
She didn't set the sway bar. I was screwed.
Anyway, the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl Nationals were held at the Tulsa Expo Raceway in Oklahoma, won by Kyle Larson. Anything he's raced in since his suspension, he's won in. Justin Grant was second. Tanner Thorson was third. I'm going to say Canode McIntosh was fourth, and Darren Pittman rounded out the top 5. And I'll tell you what, that's Kyle Larson knows what he's doing in a race car. And NHRA.
There's some good people out there.
Yeah, the NHRA Arizona Nationals will not be run in 2021, leaving an opening on their upcoming schedule. The main reason for the cancellation are current COVID-19 restrictions in Arizona. The 2021 season is set to begin March 11th to the 14th in Gainesville, Florida, and currently includes 22 events at race tracks across the U.S. So that's a shame,
My brother lives in Arizona. It's terrible. We're better here in New York than we were.
Yep.
But across the country, boy, it's terrible. I just talked to one of our suppliers today, and same thing. I mean, they just, we think that everything's all, we're better, but we're better. It's not everywhere else in the world is better.
Yeah.
So these places overseas, boy, get what you got to get early, because don't wait till the last minute.
Yep.
That'll leave yourself high and dry, whether it's race parts or whatever you need. Get it early, get it good.
Early.
So it's an important thing.
Anyway, I think we're running out of time.
We might. Did we get a finger? Oh, we got a
3 minutes. We got 3 fingers.
There you go. Well, let's finish with this, and then we'll give them a nice sign off. Well, we talked about it before, and we're offering it out there. So drivers, team owners, and crew members, you can get a free 10-minute interview right here on the a 505 On show live by Zoom. You don't even have to show up. So it takes 10 minutes, maybe 15 out of your day, 5 extra minutes maybe to set up, make sure that you got your stuff right. But ultimately, it's great to tell your potential sponsors or your sponsors that you have now that you've been on the show. And we're going to give you a high-res video of what you've done on the show that you can post on your website, your Facebook page, show to your sponsors, and say, hey, listen, this is the kind of stuff, this is the caliber of race team we are, that we are all in for our sponsors.
Right.
So if you want to sponsor us, we're going to do our best at every level, whether it's the racetrack or put an advertisement in the local paper, the racing paper, or being on a show or advertising on a show, whatever the case may be, to get your name out there so you get a return on your investment.
Exactly.
That will get you respect with any sponsor you approach. So just give us a message at the 505 On show, and we're picking people for the interviews. And there's only a couple left, because once race season starts, it's over. So do not wait. And make sure you got clean underwear. You want your sponsor to see in clean underwear. So
exactly.
It's all about presentation, man. I can't impress upon you enough. Like I said, I could give a class, but I'll be here by myself.
Maybe I would come.
You'd be here?
Yeah, I'd be here.
That's nice. That's a nice thing.
No,
but yeah, it's the older I get, not that I never listened to my elders, because I did. But, I was just watching something about from Tony Robbins today, and it actually made me giggle, because I like watching some of that stuff while I'm having lunch. So he was talking about how, you read books, and you need to learn from these books, because these people have all this education, all this knowledge that you should bring in, you should use, you should learn from, and I was just giggling my head off, because how many kids do not learn from their parents or their elders or people who have gone before who have learned these life experiences and try to pass it on.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right?
Oh, definitely.
It's interesting.
It really
Shame,
is.
but interesting.
And real quick before we cut, I can remember as a kid going to Iser Speedway, and there was 2 or 3 old guys sitting in front with their flannel coats and their Elmer Fudd hats and their beer and talking about, back in our day, that didn't happen, we didn't, blah, blah, blah. And I said to my guy next to my buddy, I says, we're not going to be like that. I'm like that.
Yeah, you're like the 2 guys in the Muppets back in the balcony. What were their names?
I'm those guys.
I forget what their names, Lloyd and something.
I'm those guys now.
Of course you are.
Back in my day, they were
anytime you start a phrase with "back in my day," you're already physically old. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
It's over. It's over, Johnny.
Back in my day, there were 40 charges. Now there's none.
Well, there's something to be said about that as well. I mean, there's a little bit of truth going on there. Why? Not for nothing, but you're right. We sent a lot of guys home that didn't make that 25-car field.
Yeah.
I don't even, honestly, I think I might have made 1 feature the first year I raced.
Really?
I think it might have been 1.
I raced at ISA for 3 seasons, 79, 80, 81. I didn't qualify once, and I started 33rd in a Consi. They were taking 2.
I remember that because there was a lot of cars. I mean, there were 15 cars, 16 cars going home.
Going home every week.
Every week.
Same thing with the Blunderbuss.
They could have had another race with all the cars that were going home. And they did that. They used to have 2 Consis.
Yeah. The Consi was the most exciting race of the night sometimes with those guys. But anyway. Anyway, we got to run. So I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us tonight. Those that watch, those in Facebook Live, a lot of nice, interesting names in there. It's nice to see. It's nice to see.
We want to thank you guys for spending the time with us, and of course taking care of our sponsors here on the show and stuff.
Absolutely.
And everything that you guys do for us, it is about you. That's why we're kind of here, and doing what we're doing, because we appreciate the accolades and the things that you say, the good things that we do. But hopefully we can pass on some of our education. Help out a little bit. I would love to see that. That would be great that, you guys can race without, giving up the mortgage, turning the lights off, living in the dark with candles.
Yep.
I mean, we've heard all the stories.
We have heard more than all the stories. But we're all good. Everything's awesome. And so, again, good night, everybody. Wherever your endeavors take you this weekend, please be safe, please be careful, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Good night.
Inravio.com.